losses, right? They lost Brandon Scherf. They lost the right guard, who gets hurt a lot, but I could see why they didn't want to pay him that money.
Right.
They lost Jones. They lost DeAndre Carter, wide receiver. They lost Jamil Douglas. They lost Kyle Allen, the backup quarterback. Not major losses on their team because their team wasn't that great. Matt Ioannidis, interior D-line, they lost. You look at who they brought in. Obviously, they made the move to get Carson Wentz, who I thought they should have went with Heineke because I don't think Wentz changes your franchise at all. I think you guys agree with that.
Fitzpatrick retired.
Yeah. And they still had Heineke, and I thought you'd ride it out one more year with Heineke. They brought in a left guard, Andrew Norwell from the Jaguars, F.A. Ubada, edge from the Bills, Alex Erickson, wide receiver from the Panthers, interior D-lineman, Justin Hamilton from the Broncos. So not a very overwhelming offseason, right?
Yeah.
You look at their draft. I thought the draft sucked.
Yeah,
Really did.
I don't think they
thought
did
their
anything
draft
crazy.
was piss poor.
I will say this: they did bring in Sam Howell, quarterback from North Carolina.
4th round.
Yeah.
I believe.
So I'm actually, if you add him to the quarterback room, Sam Howell there. You obviously got Tyler Heineke, Tyler Heineke, who's already been there, so he knows the team, knows the offense, and you bring in Carson Wentz. Now, obviously, on paper, Carson Wentz, talent-wise, you say is probably the leading candidate to get that job. All right.
Hey, man, listen, I'm not going to like every team's moves. I don't like their draft. I don't like taking Dotson at 16. They take Darian Mathis, an interior D lineman, in round 2. They draft Brian Robinson, who I like, but you got Gibson already at running back. So I like what Gibson does.
And Gibson does well for them.
That's why the pick is head scratching. Like I don't get it. You had
Hey, add this to it, Nick. Not only does Gibson does well for them at running back, they got a Swiss Army knife in J.D. McKissick, who's been
that's the other one I can think of.
Who has been a great receiving running back.
You know, they bring in Hal, they bring in Percy Butler. I don't know. I think the draft is very underwhelming. Now, granted, games got to be played, roles got to be given, jobs got to be won. So you there's always guys you don't expect who, maybe translate better to the NFL and a scheme than they did in college. It happens all the time, right? No-name guys come up because they just fit that system perfectly,
right?
Which is credit to scouting. So maybe these guys see something I don't. I'm not a professional, but I do spend a lot of time on this shit. And I just thought it was very, very underwhelming draft. So you combine that with an underwhelming free agency class, losing guys like Scherf, bringing in Norwell. Like basically the Jaguars got rid of Norwell to bring in Scherf. They win that move, right? Like if you're comparing the two, I know he gets hurt a lot. And that's a reason probably Washington was hesitant to give him big money, which makes sense, right? But you go from Scherf and you downgrade to Norwell. I don't like it. Like I don't like. They didn't move the needle in the offseason. At best, they stayed where they were, which is
7-10. They were 7-10 last year.
Yeah. So I think that they haven't made any great moves for the future. You're looking at an organization who also has some shit going on with their owner off the field.
Yep.
You maybe penalize draft picks in the future. So it's a team that when you're looking at the Eagles and you're looking at the Cowboys, you might be looking up at the Giants this season too, because I don't like what they did. Now you signed Terry McLaurin to his deal was 3 for 74, 3 for 78. Anthony, if you know the numbers, please comment. But I don't think they did anything to close the gap between Philly and the Cowboys. And I just think that that's a fair assessment of what they did. And you can be the biggest diehard fan in the world.
But you got to be realistic about the team, man.
You can look at it and say, they can compete in the division. If anything, I think they go back, and you're probably looking at a 5-12 team this year, to be completely honest.
It was three years, pretty much $70 million contract, pretty much.
370.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew it was somewhere in the 70s.
30, pretty much 34 of it was guaranteed at sign.
Which is good. He's a great player, right?
Pretty much annual was $23 million.
That team will go as their D line goes.
Yes.
You got 4 studs on the D line. You got Young coming back. That team is going to go as that D line. If that D line can go dominate an offensive line, they got a chance in games.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you can look at Carson Wentz and rely on him to play 10-win football. No. I just don't see it. So the trade makes no sense because you give up assets to get a guy that's not going to get you over the top. I would have wrote out Heineke. Maybe Heineke shits the bed. You have a 2-3 win season. Now you go get a stud quarterback next year, and you have more assets to put around him because you didn't give up a trade for Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
It's not like Indy getting Matt Ryan is better than Washington getting Wentz, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. That first of all, Indy upgraded and Indy upgraded once they got Matt Ryan and got rid of Wentz. Here's my thing with Carson Wentz going to Washington. I agree with you 100%, Nick. It's not a move that's going to move the needle and elevate them to another level. It just doesn't. I mean, I think we've all been very candid on how we feel about Carson Wentz and his actual, not his playing abilities, it's his durability and his mental capacity of where he's at. Like he has to learn how to be that guy. It's not like the talent not there. And that's what drives me crazy about Carson Wentz. I think the talent is there. It's can he finish the game? They got Paris Campbell. They got Michael Pittman Jr. They did have T.Y. Hilton. They're talking about re-signing him. But they at least got two decent receivers on Indy. And they got Mo Alley Cox at tight end, who's an underrated tight end.
How about they got Jonathan effing Taylor?
Yeah, that's all you need. That's all you need.
Last time Matt Ryan had a resemblance of a running game, they went to the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, yep.
Matt Ryan is a very, very underrated player. Julio Jones was a top receiver in the league for years.
No, he just has chlamydia. That's all. Don't worry, he ain't dead. He shot a penicillin. He in there. He good. But no, look. Why I agree with you 100%, and I agree with Anthony's comment about Washington. It's going to be pretty much the defense. Where's the defense is going to take them? They need to get back to what they did 2 years ago when they gave Tampa Bay all that they could handle in that wild card game.
Because their D line was able, and you had the unknown factor of Heineke, right?
Yeah. The unknown factor.
That kid came out and played phenomenal, and I give Washington all the credit in the world for that game because that playoff run the Bucs had, Washington played them the closest,
the best. Yeah, they played them the best.
Super Bowl against Kansas City, the NFC Championship against the Packers. Washington played them the tightest. Look at the Giants when the Giants won 2 Super Bowls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their D-line enabled them to do whatever the fuck they wanted to do. Because when you can get to the quarterback in the NFL, and I say it all the time, it's like a broken record. When you can get to the quarterback with 4 and you can cover with 7, you're at a great advantage.
Great advantage.
You can drop the linebackers to cover the slant. You can play man on the outside, and then you can drop your linebackers to cover the slants. You can overplay the outs as a corner because you know you got help on a slant.
Mm-hmm.
So schematically, what a great pass rush allows you to do. Opportunities are endless for a creative defensive coordinator.
What Matt got going on? He like, give me a seizure.
But no, but you bring up such a great point because it's
all I do, bro. I'm glad you finally pointed that out. I'm gonna cut that down into an audio clip. That's gonna be my alarm when I wake up.
Oh my God!
It's gonna say.
You got a good point, Nick.
Morning, right?
But I'm saying, look at Ron Rivera. Since he's been coaching in the NFL, he's always been about the basics, especially on defense. Like, let's make sure he's always coached great defenses. When he was in Carolina, he had great defenses. When he first got to Washington, They did what they did. You know what I'm
What
saying?
they do
Like
in Carolina, Chris
Yeah.
Jenkins, Julius Peppers, like they
Yeah.
put great investments.
Charles
into
Johnson,
their-
all of them. Yeah, it's
they
get
put
after
great
the
investments.
quarterback. Get after the quarterback. And I'm not worried about the defensive side with Washington. I'm worried about can the offense bring enough to spell the defense that they're not on the damn field the whole damn game. Because if you really look at what's been Washington's problem is they can't get that same sustainability on the other side of the football. If they can't convert on third down, can't sustain drives, can't put points on the board. You know, I don't care what defense. You can have the 85 Bears or 2,000 Ravens on defense. Well, okay, I'm going too far because those defenses scored. So let me reel it in. So if you got a good defense, it means jack shit in this type of NFL, which is so pass driven. If you can't beat off the field because your offense is not on the field and they're not sustaining drives. So,
and when you look at the rest of their defense, you got Chase Young, Payne, Allen, and Sweat up front, right? 4 first-round picks.
Oh, yeah.
So we know where they butter their bread on this team. We know
in the trench,
the driving forces, right? It's that. But now, Anthony asked a question before. Name a wide receiver on the Colts. I asked you guys, not Anthony in the chat, because obviously he knows this. Name somebody on Washington's back seven. Name somebody who starts in their secondary or their linebackers. I'd be very impressed if you knew somebody.
I can't.
I'll be honest. I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
I can't.
I can't.
Cole Holcomb, Jamin Davis, David Mayo, Kendall Fuller.
No, I know Kendall Fuller.
We know him, but you couldn't name him. You didn't know he was there.
I forgot. No, I forgot he went back to Washington.
You don't know him as a Washington guy. Like, you know the name. Wasn't he in Kansas City?
Yeah, he won a Super Bowl with us.
That's
But I
why
forgot
you
he
know
went
him.
back. I forgot he went back because we traded for him when we gave them Alex Smith, and he came over. And so I forgot he went back. Like, I literally, like, had you not said that, I wouldn't even remember that.
And you only know him from a Chief. You don't know him. Oh, yeah, I remember this, what he did on Washington.
And he was solid for us, too.
Cameron Crowe and Bobby McCain are your safeties. And you got William Jackson the third. I don't know the first or the second, so how the fuck am I going to know the third? So, yes, you need that D-line to dominate. Can they? 100%. And when you can get to the quarterback, all these other guys can be set up to succeed. But I'd be shocked. If this team wins more than 6 games, I'd be shocked. I do love the receivers with McLaurin, Samuel, Dotson. Speed fits what they do. I thought they could have maybe traded back a little bit, got some other assets from what they gave up for Wentz, and then took him. And I love Logan Thomas as a tight end, but he's like a Brandon Scherf at tight ends. He's very, very difficult to get this guy on the field for a full season.
You still got McKissick too. I think he's a good weapon.
McKissick is there, and then Brian Robinson's the third.
Yeah.
So
third
running back in round 2, in round 3, to take your third running back on the depth chart in round 3 when you have so many other needs is a head scratcher to me. I might end up being a star in a year or two, and you might be able to move Gibson for a haul because this guy takes over. I like the kid that much. But at this point in time, man, too many other needs, especially on the O-line after letting Scherf go.
Man,
a lot of head scratching moves, man. They were drafting as if they were at a stripper party in Washington.
No, because you bring up a great point. Look, you bring in Curtis Samuel last year. He couldn't stay healthy. You brought him in to be your number 2 wide receiver to help you out with Terry McLaurin. So obviously you re-sign McLaurin. You get Johan Dotson in the draft. Now, if Curtis Samuel can stay healthy, that's a decent little wide receiver core. It is.
You still got Carson Wentz.
Still got Carson Wentz.
For me, that's the whole key to this thing. Because if you look at like
Kyle Hamilton, he was sitting right there for you. Kyle Hamilton was sitting right there for you. I didn't get that.
No. Hamilton went at 14 to Baltimore. Washington picked at 16.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's the thing. If you translate what Matt Ryan is and what Carson Wentz was last year, he had good running back, good running back. Carson Wentz did. He had a good front four. Carson Wentz had that. He had, he had the pieces and still to produce. He has similar pieces here. So what makes he gonna do any better or not the same here in Washington?
It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing that after you watch the losses that Wentz gave you last year and losing to Jacksonville in Week 17, and played like shit. Nick, I don't know how you could watch that film and be like, "We got to go get that guy."
Well, on top of that, he had a coach that's supposed to be the coach that helps all quarterbacks.
The coach that he was with when he played
his best. Yeah, he had his MVP season. Yeah.
When that coach that traded for you, because he was your quarterback coach when you played your best football, says, I'm giving up on you after one season.
Yeah.
Let's do some topical shit.
Lot.
Red flag.
Red flags all over that.
Red flag.
I don't see what Washington saw. What did Washington see?
I don't either. I don't. And
they must have shipped out signed some young women.
He's a very loyal viewer of our show and comments all the time, but it's a major head scratcher this entire offseason, top to bottom to me. Like I can't.
I'm with Nick.
I can justify any shit, right? You guys will take any take. You'll take any side of a take, throw it at me, and I'll just take the other side because I can see logic in it. I don't see logic in their offseason. I really, really don't.
They better like Nick said. They better off with Taylor Heineke. They're better off with that and build around what they have and wait and get another quarterback the following year. Because even with Sam Howell,
you want to take a wide receiver in round one,
right?
Build around the young guy, have more assets, and give him a chance.
Hold
on. Go ahead, man.
No, I was saying, even with that, even when you get Sam Howell, now. He could turn out to be a decent quarterback in the NFL, but you messing him up because you're sitting behind Carson Wentz, who's known to be injury prone. So, say he gets hurt, and you say, "Okay, we throw Sam in there."
But you saying it? Somebody got to be ready.
I'm saying, but he's a rookie, man. You mess him up. He might be somebody who needs to sit behind somebody for a while and learn to be a better quarterback. So
I hear you on that, but what I'm saying
is wasting talent. But go ahead.
What I'm saying is. It gives Sam Howell a chance to show that, hey, don't worry about the quarterbacks in the draft next year. Let me be your future and build around me. So,
but if you mess him up before he gets a chance to do that.
Sam Howell's a guy that a lot of the mocks, and you guys know how obsessed, you and the viewers know how obsessed I am with mocks and getting different people's takes and opinions. Sam Howell was a late round one, mid round two projection by a lot of experts. So you got good quality. Anthony, value when you're picking the fourth. I'm not saying he's going to take over the world, but
Anthony, I don't know if I can agree with that, bro.
Okay.
Colts won 11 games with damn Philip old ass Rivers.
Hold on.
I can't agree with that.
Had their quarterback position set. They didn't protect Andrew Luck, and now the roster is good enough to not get a top 5 pick. The roster is so good.
His roster's too good.
And the Jets helped build that roster. When the Jets went from number 6 up to number 3, they gave number 6 overall, which they took Quentin Nelson, and they gave 3 number 2s within 2 years to move up 3 spots to take Sam Darnold. So that team is so well put together. They're up there with the Browns. Before this year, the Browns.
Yeah.
Great roster.
Yeah.
If you take away the quarterback position.
Anchor at quarterback. Great roster built around the anchor at quarterback.
Can ball.
Yeah, they can.
That Colts offensive line is elite. That Colts running back is elite. They've been trying to throw darts at a board blindly on veteran quarterbacks because they know the rest of that roster is good enough to carry the quarterback. They don't need the quarterback to carry the roster.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to be fair to the Colts, they went from Luck to Jacoby Brissett was the first year, right?
Yeah, Brissett was the first year.
Who we knew they didn't have a choice with that. So they say, okay, let's go with Phillip Rivers, veteran, who was just too old. So they had to move on from him. So to me, it wasn't like they saying, okay, quarterback, because they just making these quick decisions. They like, okay, Phillip was old. What we gonna do with that? He retired. So they had to get somebody in there. So they thought, let's try Wentz. 1 year Wentz was like, I can't do nothing with that. Move on, because like to Nick's point, we had too good of a roster to waste on Carson Wentz. You
And
see, he didn't work
they
out.
believe so much in their roster that they're trying mediocre quarterback after mediocre quarterback because they think they can win it with that defense and run game and that O line, which they might be able to. San Francisco made the Super Bowl, but yeah, I think Washington is competing to not be last place in that division. Like,
I agree.
The